So one question you might hear from prospects is, what is the interest rate? So the Business Finance Suite has business credit. It also has business loans and financing. So if I'm going to get a business loan, what kind of interest rate am I actually going to obtain? Well, interest rates on any kind of financing, whether it be consumer or business financing, really have to do with risk. How much risk is involved? How high of a risk is this deal? And in the business financing space, it really comes down to some key factors. How long have they been in business? What is their personal credit score? Do they have tax returns? Do they have financials? Do they have collateral? Now, again, if they don't have these things, if they haven't been in business a long time and don't have great credit and they don't have financials and they don't have collateral, they can still get financing. But again, these are the type of things that will determine the rates that they get on the financing. So somebody that's been in business a lot longer than somebody else is going to get better terms in most cases. If somebody has a much higher credit score than somebody else, they'll typically get better terms. If they have collateral, they have good tax returns they can show with a lot of kind of financing, that will help them get even better interest rates and terms. Now, it's important to note that customers are not going to pay any upfront fees to us or any lender. We have no sources at all that charge a customer upfront. Any fees that a customer are charged are kind of rolled into the deal the same as they are with an SBA loan. So for example, if you were to go to get an SBA loan from a bank right now, the bank will charge you fees, SBA will charge you fees, they roll all those fees into the loan. It's the same thing here. If a customer gets unsecured business credit cards, well then, they're actually going to roll the fee in to the actual card. Now again, that doesn't have anything to do with business credit, but through the finance qualifier, if they're to get the unsecured program that's based on personal credit, they're going to pay a fee and that fee gets put on those actual cards. Okay, so again, they're not going to pay any upfront fee. There's no application fees. If they get 401k financing, there's a fee. The fee gets rolled into the actual deal. So just like with SBA loans, any fees that are there on any kind of financing gets rolled right into the actual deal. And it's also important to know that they're going to pay fees. Yes, they're going to pay fees. They're going to pay normal interest rate charges. Now, believe it or not, customers come in without this expectation. It's so crazy. Sometimes we get customers in, they qualify for financing, they're perfect candidates for financing. We start talking to them about financing and they don't want to move forward because for some reason they were led to believe that there was no fees involved. They thought because they bought the finance suite that all the money they would get was free. Well, look, you and I wish that would happen, right? I mean, we will fight as hard as we can to make sure everybody gets the best rates on financing that exist. But we all have to be wise to the fact that this is how lenders get paid. Lenders charge fees, lenders charge interest rates. That's how lenders get their money back. Okay, so again, even if you walk into a bank and get an SBA loan, you're going to pay an interest rate, you're going to pay a fee to the bank, you're going to pay a fee to SBA. Every kind of financing that exists in the consumer and business space has interest rates, has fees involved. It's how the lending source actually gets paid. So you need to let your customers know, yes, you're going to pay fees, you're going to pay rates. It's not to us. We don't collect a dime ever from a customer, ever from a customer. We don't charge any fees on the back end. We don't collect any money from a customer ever. But the lending source will charge normal rates and fees. The finance officer's job is to get the customer the best terms they could get, but that doesn't mean that the money's going to come for free. Your customers need to know that there are rates and terms involved. And in some of the additional training that you're going to see in this step, we dive in and we even teach you exactly what the rates and terms are on every program. We give you things such as the finance underwriting guidelines. We give you finance program cheat sheet. These things all tell you the programs, the rates, the terms, the fees, so you can give the customer a reasonable idea of what to expect. And that's when your customers are going to get the best results. When they come in and they know that they can qualify for a program and have a good idea of what the rate and fee already is, then they come into the finance officer prepared. The finance officer tells them they can qualify for the program. The finance officer tells them the same rates and fees you're telling them, and then it makes the process go so much easier. That's why you and us, we're partners, because if we do this together, then your customers have the best chance of getting the most amount of money, which means the customer needs to come in, they need to know the rates and terms they pay are based on risk, they need to understand that there are rates and terms that are involved from the lending source, not from us. They need to even have an idea of what they may qualify for and what those rates and terms are. That's what this step is is about is to give you all the tools, resources you need to be trained to be able to offer that to the customer. And again, many programs aren't even based on standard interest rates. So a lot of the programs in the alternative lending space for businesses aren't even based on interest rates. They're based on things like discounts. They're based on set fees based on the loan amount. So in a lot of cases, a lot of this money isn't even based on standard interest rates, but whatever the actual fee is, whatever the rate is that they pay, again, all comes down to the actual risk that the borrower has. So another question you might get is, how long does it take for deals to fund? Well, it really varies based on the program. So if they're getting a cash flow financing, which we talked about in a previous step, that they can get that money in 7 days or less. Okay, we've literally got somebody money within 24 hours so they could meet their payroll with cash flow financing. It's the fastest, easiest way to get money. You should typically tell your customers it can happen in 7 days or less. How fast it happens depends on how fast they get the finance officers what they need to actually get the deal done. Unsecured and collateral based financing, which we talked about, the other three C's, right? The three C's, cash flow, collateral, and credit are the three C's that somebody needs one of to qualify for financing. Well, if they have collateral or credit, it usually takes about 3 weeks to get that type of financing. Credit lines, SBA, alternative SBA, private money, this stuff takes sometimes many months to get approved. I mean, it could go 60 days to 5-6 months to get this kind of money. So if somebody's coming in and trying to get a $500,000 from a private investor, yes, we can help that customer do that. But what you need to expect and the customer needs to expect is SBA loans, fallout, alternative SBA loans, private money, these kind of things, real credit lines from banks. These kind of things sometimes take 2, 3, 4, 5 months from the lenders to go through an underwriting process to get them approved. This is one of the beautiful things about the finance suite is we might get them cash flow financing and unsecured financing while they're waiting for an alternative SBA loan to come in. So this way we can get them all types of financing they can qualify for, even if some types of financing take much longer. Of course, we always go as fast as possible. They just need to know that when it comes to real credit lines, SBA loans, alternative SBA loans, private money, that these deals, just based on their sheer size, because the loan amounts are usually larger, take considerably more time than our main core financing programs that we offer. So that gives you an idea of time frames of what it takes to actually get approved, or how long it takes to get approved, and how to talk to your customers about rates and terms about the financing that they may secure through the Business Finance Suite.